Okay, so this first video for us is going to be reviewing equations and inequalities. It's this first unit in Edmentum. It's really important for 8th grade, so that's why they're really reinforcing it. So, in case you forgot, remember the first thing we need to do is that river of love, or Mrs. Prada, she calls it the railroad tracks. That river of love, to help us remember what we do to one side, we also have to do the other. Then we go through and we do GEMDAS in reverse. GEMDAS in reverse is sad Meg. So first we have to look at our equation and we need to undo any subtracting or adding that's happening in our problem. So over in our problem, what adding or subtracting are we doing? We're adding that 2. So what I need to do is get rid of that 2. How do I make that 2 go away? I have to subtract it. Remember, we do inverse or opposite operations to get the variable by itself. Plus 2 minus 2, positive 2, minus 2, they cancel each other out. So then I have to bring down this 11x for this side. Then 24 minus 2 is 22. Then I go on to my division and my multiplication. When they're side by side like that, what operation is it? That's multiplication. So the opposite would be division. So I have to divide both sides by 11. 11 divided by 11 is 1. So they cancel out. So all I have left is x. And then 22 divided by 11 is 2. So here we get that x is equal to 2. What Edmentum is really going to stress to you and how they're going to show you to solve these problems is this using step 3, is to substitute or plug in your number to check your answer. So for me to do that, I would need to start off with this side here, this 2 plus 11x. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute, or I'm going to plug in 2 for my x. So I'm going to plug in 2 for my x. And now I'm going to go back to solving like normal, my GEMDAS. So first, I'm going to do this multiplication. 11 times 2 is 22. Bring down that 2 plus. 2 plus 22 is 24. And we see that 24 checks out with 24. That is correct. Again, this is the way that Edmentum's going to show you how to do this. They're going to give you some answer choices. You have to plug it in and solve it using your order of operations. Then, after we're done with equations, we're going to review inequalities. So again, like before, we're still using our river of love. And then we're going to still do GEMDAS in reverse. So we're still starting off, sorry, got to get all my pins together, with subtraction and addition. So what addition or subtraction do we have over here? We're subtracting 2, so the opposite would be to add 2 to both sides. Just like we had up there, a negative 2 plus 2, they cancel out, so I have to bring down that negative 5x is less than 18 plus 2 is 20. So there's our subtraction and addition. Then we need to go to division and multiplication. Again, when they're side by side, what operation is that? That is multiplication. So the opposite is division. We have to divide by both sides by negative 5. Divide by negative 5. We have this golden rule for inequalities. Remember, if you multiply or divide by a negative, multiply or divide by negative, you have to flip the sign. So on this problem, we're dividing by a negative, dividing by a negative. So this sign needs to go the other direction now. It was eating to the right, now it's going to eat to the left. So we're going to have x is greater than 20 divided by negative 5. You can use your calculator for this. We know it's going to be 4, but positive or negative, positive and a negative is going to give me a negative answer. So we should get that x is going to be greater than negative 4. And then again, that last step that Edmentum is going to stress is that you substitute to check your answer. So we need to substitute this negative 4 in for x to check our work. So we've got negative 5x minus 2. We plug in negative 4 for x. So we have negative 5 times negative 4 minus 2. We see that negative 5 times negative 4 is going to give me a positive 20. Then we have to bring down that minus 2. 20 minus 2 is 18. And that checks out with what we had before. Positive 18 checks out with positive 18. So whenever that number x is greater than negative 4, this situation is going to work. One more thing that Edmentum's going to do that we didn't have a whole lot of time to talk about, but if you did the what's the word I'm looking for? If you did the extension work for the second quarter, you saw this already. And in 5th grade, I believe it was on the curriculum for you to learn the distributive property. So you're going to start seeing problems like this, which we didn't have time to show you during the school year. So we're still going to do our river of love. But before we can get in to GEMDAS, SADMEG, before we can get into that, what we need to do is, again, like I said, use that distributive property up here. What the distributive property says is whatever is on the outside of your parentheses, if you can't simplify in here because there's a variable, you have to multiply times everything on the inside of those parentheses. So this 6 times 2 plus x. For me to distribute this, for me to simplify this, what I need to do is take 6 first times 2. What is 6 times 2? 12. And then I keep my addition in the middle. And then I need to multiply 6 times x. What's 6 times x? 6x. So now instead of writing this 6 parenthesis 2 plus x parenthesis, instead of writing that, I can write it this way. I can write 12 plus 6x is equal to 30. Now my problem looks like what we've been seeing all year. Now what I can do is go through and do GEMDAS. I can do my SADMEG. So subtracting and adding. I need to get rid of that 12. How am I going to get rid of it? Subtract 12 from both sides. Ooh. Let's fix that real quick. Subtract 12 from both sides. So we get 6x is equal to 18. And then we divide both sides by 6. And we should get that x is equal to 3. Again, the way that this is going to be stressed to you in Edmentum is this third step, plugging in. So I need to start out with my 6 times 2 plus x, plugging in that 3 for x. So I'm going to have 6 times 2 plus my x, which is 3. And then I'm going to solve. In GEMDAS, the first thing I need to do is that grouping. My grouping here is my parentheses, so I need to add that first. 2 plus 3 is 5. And then I need to bring down that 6. Then I need to multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. And 30 checks out with our answer. We are good to go. As always, if you have questions with this, please put it on the parking lot or send it to us in an email, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Good luck with your Edmentum lesson.